Mount Cape Palmas, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Country, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, yeah, politics, education, entertainment, yeah, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Yeah. Focus. Whatever.
Gentlemen, we have a problem here. Facebook is saying one of our history show on Waller. They said it's violating their standards, so they suspended us. So we are only going live on YouTube. I didn't know that.
You say what?
Yeah. Facebook said they have suspended us for violating their community standard.
What do we do?
History show on Waller.
B Wallow?
Wallow. The Wallow. There was a show, we are History Channel, right?
Okay, yeah.
And because of that, they say what in that show they say they suspended us, but I don't know, but it is what it is. Let's go live on YouTube only.
We already live, so yeah, we can share from YouTube to Facebook, I guess.
Yeah.
You can probably just share from YouTube, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, share the show from YouTube to Facebook.
All right. Russell, it's all yours.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Tonight we have Friday's debate, and with me, I am your humble host, Anthony Russell Jr., the co-founder of Twitter Talk Live, Twitter Talk Liberia, and Liberia Tech Network. With me today to discuss Liberia's issues, I have Jimmy Eastman.
Hey, Anthony, glad to be here with this fine panel. I hope we get down to the issues.
Thank you, sir. And I have George Brownwell.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy Friday to everyone. Looking forward to the conversation.
And I have with us in the building today, Dr. Clarence R. Pearson.
Thank you, Anthony, for having me today. It's a pleasure to be on the show. Hi to our viewers out there and listeners, and hi to my fellow panelists. I'm looking forward to a great discussion tonight.
All right. Thank you all for being here. We would like to get into the discussion right away. Some of the topics that we're going to be discussing. We have on board with us the 8,000 work permits that were issued by the Minister of Public Works. And also we have some Burkinabes influx in counties like Grand Jita, Nima County, and Bon County. So we're seeing a lot of influx of Burkinabe refugees / migrants. So we're trying to discuss that issue at hand as well too, and we have some zoning and clearing alleyways issues as well that's been going on. We know that Liberia, every past presidency, we have seen a lot of destructions of buildings, right? Being said that okay, we are now trying to build the country we're trying to build, and develop the right way, but are the citizens really benefiting from those destructions that are going on in the city of Monrovia? Are there any other alternatives as well to address with those issues? So I'll start with the doctor. So on our plate today, we have the Burkinabes influx in counties like Grand Judet, Nima County, and also Bon County. What are some of your concerns that you are after reading those articles? What are some of your what are some of the concerns that are being raised by you and the other people in those counties as well?
Thank you, Anthony, for that question. I think when I started following up on this this whole Burkinabe migration to Liberia, one of the first things that came to mind was the Liberian civil crisis. I was one of those who lived entirely through the Liberian civil crisis, so I know how much the impact the crisis was to us as Liberians. And then being a student of research, also I started to look into how this was playing out in Liberia, like what was motivating the migration. And when you go to look into what's motivating the migration, that takes you back to early 2000s, when this whole Islamic thing was blowing up in Northern Africa, there in the Sahel region. With Islamic states being established across different parts of the agenda being pushed across different parts of the Sahel region. And then Burkina Faso happens to be one of three major countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, where the northern region of Burkina Faso were heavy hit by that propagation of the spread of Islamic movement, where they're trying to impose what we refer to the Sharia law across those states that are heavily Muslim. So Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Nigeria, these are countries with very heavy population of Muslims, right? I know they are moderate Muslim. I don't want to be seen as trying to pitch anything that has to do with violence. I'm not talking violence. I'm talking about religious identity versus national identity. And, you can have a country and you have national identity and rally around other things, but there are also those who are more keen towards religious identity. So they are a group of individuals who are linked to Al Qaeda and other religious groups that are wanting to have a majority of our African countries or more like an Islamic state. So you notice that entire era push a movement rather push about 2 million Burkinabe out of Burkina Faso. And that's some of the spillover you see happening in Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Liberia, and other places. And just to close that conversation up, these guys, they take advantage of what they call ethnic grievances. They take advantage of state weaknesses. They take advantage of rural neglect. They take advantage of porous borders. And Liberia seems to have all of these combination of things that we hope that it will not be exploited in our own country, especially when we see senators giving signal, that they want to have some religious sentiments around politics. So, yeah, so that's my major concern.
Okay, that's very beautifully crafted. Do you have any concerns as well? I'll go ahead and ask a follow-up questions. How can the Liberian government further address this issue without violating any human rights, international human rights laws?
So yes, I think that's a brilliant question, because if you think about the geopolitical shift in Africa right now, where Africa is looking to become more unified, like Gaddafi and other strong African leaders wanted to see happen, and then they were all killed for that purpose, Nkrumah and others. When you see how much momentum that Africa is building around African unity, trying to have Africa stand as a unified front, how we accommodate each other it's an important part of that whole process. We see other countries like Kenya and other like Paul Kagame and others are talking about getting rid of visas for Africans, having this open border for Africans across the different across the continent rather, having a free trade movement. Liberia's just signed an aviation agreement with a couple of other African, I think 3 or so other African countries, trying to ease the restrictions and the constraints on travel within the region. So there's a lot going on with African unity. So I don't want to think that we Liberians will want to show some anti-African unity or solidarity when it comes to opening our arms to our brothers from other African countries. But I think we want to be careful to have grips over the statistics, the motivation behind the migration, how they integrate into our society, how can we track their presence and their movement across the country, so that we don't have issues that we just saw in Nimba, where one Burkinabe was just killed in Nimba, I think it was this week, and because of the same harassing tension. So I think we want to have control over this with the immigration and our Interpol and our what you call joint security agencies.
Yeah, Mr. Eastman, I'll go ahead and ask you the same question, and I'll further ask you: do you think that Liberia is capable of maintaining peace within those northern regions that we're seeing influx of Burkinabe refugees or migrants as well, without violating any rights? You're muted.
Thank you. I appreciate the question. First of all, we need to know who Liberia is historically. Liberia was, as you know, one of the oldest countries, democracies, republics in Africa. We ushered in a host of new African countries. We championed the liberation of Africa in South Africa, in Angola, in Mozambique, in Rhodesia now, with another name, but we have always been the big brother in Africa. So of recent times, we should not change our posture. We still supposed to be the big brother to other African countries. So we need to treat this properly. When you see, there were times when Nigeria or Ghana deported Liberians, but we did not retaliate. We always supported African unity. We championed African unity. So let's go to this issue with the Burkinabes. Why are they coming and why are they here? First of all, it is correct to have them here legally. We should open a passage where they don't have to hide and come in the country illegally. That the immigration department has to probe its own file and rank, because these people are coming through the borders, and the immigration officers on duty are aware. So we need to tighten up our own security by examining whether the officers are operating the way they should. We can't have rogue officers receiving bribes and people coming in the country and we don't know of their presence. Now that we do know that they are here, we need to document those people. We need to have them legally here and paying taxes as they should, or part of the labor force. I don't think chasing them away is what we should do, but we should make them legally here and like everybody else. One of the reasons why you see they are here, because they provide labor. I remember there were several thousands of Burkinabes in Ivory Coast. They're the ones who planted all the cocoa farms. They are very hardworking people. So what we're doing wrong is the fact that we don't have them here recognized with proper papers and documented, but definitely we can use them. We don't have enough Liberians engaged in agriculture and other things. These people could help us do these things. So I don't see I don't see them their removal as an objective, but I do know that it should be properly documented and legally here so that it wouldn't be taken advantage of. That's my stance on it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. What about you, George? What's your stance on the situation, and how can Liberia navigate this issue without breaking any international laws for people who says that they might be seeking asylum or they might be migrating?
Yeah, I sort of agree with both the gentlemen who went before me, especially with finding a way to screen them as they come in, right? I keep thinking about how I'm sure immigration is underfunded when it comes to people actually patrolling these areas on the border that other individuals are able to sneak in through. So if you just welcome them with open arms, I think it gives you an opportunity to actually screen who's coming in and to actually have a definite number on the amount of people that's coming in. I know the report or the news article that we read, it says 7,000. I continue my research into the Ivory Coast, and I think like the UN in 2003 gave a number of the same 7,000, which was odd, you know what I'm saying? But Ivory Coast then said no, they had tens of thousands of immigrants coming in from Burkina Faso. Is also making me wonder how ECOWAS plays a role in this. I know we're supposed to welcome them as if they're still a part of ECOWAS, but they're not. See, the country has declared that it's part of this Sahel organization now. So that's one thing that's like sort of confusing me. But in all honesty, yeah, we're supposed to accept them, screen them properly, and at least try to understand who's coming in. But we have issues with our system that won't necessarily allow us to do so. And the only thing I didn't agree with Mr. Eastman was us playing this big brother role. I think we've sort of been displaced in the region as a big brother just because of the lack of systems that we have here in the country. So I don't think it's fair to other Liberians as well to kind of burden ourselves with the toll that comes from allowing refugees to come in, because even when it comes to labor, for instance, we can say, yeah, they're able to help in this sector, but that sector isn't necessarily developed yet. So this idea of them coming in to help with agriculture, we still have a agriculture sector that's underdeveloped, where we haven't found our place in the region as far as being exporters of cocoa. So to say that we're allowing them to come in and grow cocoa as if it's going to benefit the country, the people who are growing cocoa right now aren't necessarily seeing any benefits in it. And we don't have enough jobs as it stands to go around, to be honest with you. So I think those are things that we need to consider. But yeah, a solution as far as not allowing people to pass through our porous border would just be to allow them maybe 2-3 passages that we know we can set immigration up at, and at least screen the people who are coming in at the moment.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that it makes sense for us to strengthen our border, right, and provide the right resources, especially when it comes to immigration and other ministries that are responsible, other agencies that are responsible for protecting and securing Liberia borders. But some people will argue, even some Liberians will argue, that Burkina Faso is seen as a nation in Africa right now that's doing so well. We see their president Ibrahim Traore signing deals with Russia to educate his people mentally, to equip them with skills. Why is he just focusing on only the people in his country and not the other people that are being displaced? So what is he doing to bring his people back home? Because I don't think that I have heard anything from him yet publicly about his the refugees, the Burkinabes refugees, right? Saying that come home, come back, help work, make the country to be what it is. And we're seeing that, other people in Grangia are having issues with them, right? Breaking down forests. And we saw that 60 of the Burkinabe refugees or migrants were deported back to their border. So what is it that Traore isn't calling his people back home? What is it that we're not seeing, Mr. Pearson, from him?
Thank you, Anthony. I want to stick with the line poaching because I feel our leaders should pay attention to it. The Muslim population in Burkina Faso is around 63%, right? And you got Christians comprising, like, say, 26%, and then the traditional group, like in Liberia, we say traditional group, we got like what, 9%, and that heavy push in northern Burkina Faso that has led to the major displacement is not just because they don't want to be in the country and the country is not thriving. It's not because of the downward trend in the economy. Like we're all saying, the guys are doing well there. They are making progress. But there's a segment of the population that were under tension, religious tension, surrounding religious identity, where the guys who are pushing for a stronger Islamic rule in Burkina Faso, which makes up the majority of the population of that country, gave that segment, that minority segment of the Christian, who are mostly Catholics and Protestants, giving them hell they had to leave. And I mentioned about 2 million plus of them left, right? So I don't think they feel comfortable being there. Now, the thing about religious conflict is that religious conflict is very violent. We saw even in Liberia, where people who were anti-Muslims were killing Muslims just because they say you were Muslims and you pray, and they saw a mark on your forehead during the civil crisis. When you went to the checkpoint and they saw the mark on your forehead, like you bent down to pray, they killed you. They say you are a Muslim, they kill you. All right. And I live to see that. I walked through through the different checkpoints. I saw people got escorted to the side and shot and killed, and so I know what it feels like to be in a situation where your life is threatened. So I believe they're coming to Liberia to find some relief. It's a good thing. I think we can encourage, but I still want to push that line. We need to be very careful, and we need to be very understanding, like that Ismail and Brunel said. We need to understand the dynamics that are driving this population. And don't forget also that majority of our people, if you read our different statistics from Legis, they will tell you that the majority of people survive on subsistence farming, right? So the farmers, majority of people are farmers. It's just that we're not farming enough to export. But imagine if the farmers who will turn to be Burkina be the most powerful farmers in our country, it goes back to the Fudanese taking over our businesses, all the streets in Randa Street, Kere Street, Broad Street, Greater Street, and then we lose the economy again. So we lost the economy in the small business sector. We probably might lose it again in agriculture. I mean, those are scary things, especially Nima used to be one of the bread basket. Grand Jida also the same. Lofa used to be the same. Now Bapo is under influence of this in Burkina. So these guys are taking over our farming rural communities, and tomorrow they might be the millionaires who are farmers. Like South Africa is trying to get their lands back from the Afrikaners, and you see what happened with South Africa and the United States with Donald Trump.
That's a very powerful. That's a very powerful stance. And I'll ask Brunel the same question as well. Burkina Faso, they're doing so great. We're seeing all the great things that their leader is currently doing. What is stopping him from inviting or welcoming, the Burkinabe back home to say, hey, regardless of religious, your religious stance, right? Come in, let's help, and let's fix our country. What's stopping him from doing so?
To be honest, I don't fully understand what's going on inside Burkina Faso, because most of the news we receive is through Instagram and Facebook memes, right? So we don't actually know the details, the nitpick. I applaud the president or the interim president at the moment for all the development that I see on these memes and that I see with these Facebook and YouTube videos. But Mr. Morris, welcome.
Thank you, guys.
That I see on social media, right? And most of this news is actually being shared by Black Americans, not necessarily. I think most of the clicks and retweets are coming from Black Americans in the diaspora, so not necessarily from on the continent. But you ask why isn't he calling his people back home? I don't know. Through the research that I did do, I seen that the EU and the UN at one point were actually training military officials in the Sahel regions to combat terrorism. But I guess the stance, and this goes into geopolitics, because these guys align themselves with Russia and China, it kind of puts these international organizations at a standstill where they don't want to continue helping. And I think that's where we get the backlash of this migration happening, because maybe they aren't equipped enough, right? I know when people think about the West, they go straight to neo-colonialism, but you really can't find too many instances, for example, of China bringing troops here to help combat terrorism. Even with Russia, I mean, Russia helps out here and there, but not in the capacity in which the West does. So that's why we're feeling the flag. I don't know why he hasn't called back, and maybe local Burkina Faso news is carrying these stories, but we are receiving these types of this type of news. I'm sorry, from the journalists coming out of Burkina Faso. So I can't really answer that question.
Mr. Morris, I'll go ahead and jump right onto you. What's your stance on this issue? I mean, I saw in the chat you said there's a lot of misinformation. So can you break this situation down to us that are being misinformed and inform us the right way?
All right, thank you. I had to literally hop on real quick because and thank you for having me on. There's a lot of information that is not out there to the public to understand. It's almost like you have to have tribal knowledge to understand what's going on with the Burkinabes. So Alassane Ouattara, when he took over for Laurent Gbagbo, most people don't know Laurent Gbagbo background. He's a Bete man. The Bete people are part of the Kru speaking group. They are part of the Kru group in Ivory Coast. So in that Kru group, you have the Ways, which is the Gurs, or the Crown people in Ivory Coast, and the Wobes. You have the Dida, you have the Nio, and you have the Bete. The Bete is the largest Kru speaking group in entire Africa. Second is the Bassa, then the Ways, and then the Gribbles.
They're actually crown, though. The Bete are crown.
Well, yeah, they're like they're cousins, right? So Laurent Gbagbo is a better man. So the Crown people in Ivory Coast supported him. When Ouattara came to overthrow to take power, there was a guy called Antoine Bailly, which is one of his great generals that was with him. He's a Crown guy or Guerre guy from Ivory Coast. And they put up a great fight against the people who backed Ouattara. Ouattara's mother is from Burkina Faso. His father is an Ivorian. So there's a lot of Morsi people from Burkina Faso. There's an ethnic group called the Morsi group from Burkina Faso who backed Ouattara during that skirmish in 2010. There's 5 million Burkinabes living in Ivory Coast. And they have refuge from Ouattara because he has a background there. So in the forest, in the southern part of Ivory Coast, where the Crown people, as we call them, live, in places like Guimont, Fagobli, Toudeplay, Dubuque. A lot of these Burkinabes came from a place called Boaké in northern Ivory Coast. And they came down and started to encroach in the lands that the quote-unquote Crown people in Ivory Coast that they farm on in the forest, we're forest people. So they started to encroach on those lands, and the government was doing nothing about it. They were taking the lands from the Ivorian Crown, and they were encroaching on their lands. So the bigger ploy here, people who speak French, people who the talking Ivory Coast, is that Ouattara is doing this to try to pacify the crowns in both Ivory Coast and Liberia, because there is a assumption, or there is this presumption that there's going to be a unrest in Ivory Coast come October. Laurent Gbagbo has been taken off the ballot. They've disqualified him. His ex-wife, Simone Gbagbo, has been allowed to run. Of course, she's not a real threat to him. So there's a whole situation that there will be unrest, and that the crews, the Bete, along with the Ways, and the Dida and the Neos, they will all probably rise up, and there might be a civil war. So this influx has been happening almost as a long-term strategy to try to pacify them or to try to, to suppress them if that eventually happened, because the crowns in Ivory Coast are seen as fearless warriors that was backing Gbagbo and almost, allow him to stay in power. So this is the ploy. This is what we know in Grand Judea, that these guys are encroaching. But again, we don't have the right to defend ourselves without the government approval. We can't just go in and start killing people and start fighting them and take them away from our midst. So that's why the Grand Judeans have been calling on the government to step in, because if something happens right now, that's why you see even in Nimba County, they're not going to Ganta, they're going to Kwabli District, the place where the Crown people live. That's where they're concentrating. It's a whole ploy to try to, subjugate these people because they see them as a threat come, October. So it's a deeper understanding that you have to have. That's why I want to come and give you some insight. It's a big deal. And if something happens, like we heard what was going on in Ivory Coast, that there might have been a coup, it's probably going to happen. Most likely it's going to happen. Even the Burkinabes now, because of Traore, who also sees Ouattara as a threat to him because he's cozying it up with France. And as such, they think that he's trying to plot an overthrow, because there was a coup attempt just recently in Burkina Faso by Burkinabes nationals who are living there. And it came to light that they were trained in Ivory Coast, and fled back to the Ivory Coast for refuge under Ouattara. So there's a lot of geopolitics that's going on in our region, right next door to us, and we have to be mindful of it. But the Burkinabes...
Hasn't Ouattara been accused of being a Burkinabe himself?
No, that's what I said. His mother is from Burkina Faso. There was a former president of Ivory Coast called Henry Konan Blede, who was a Baoulé man, who disqualified him because he was the former prime minister under Hifé Bonnier. When Hifé Bonnier was there, he was supposed to take the reins, but because of his background, Henry Konan Blede, he disqualified Ouattara from running because he is not a quote-unquote full Ivorian. They implemented a policy called Ivorited or Ivorianness. You have to show that you have 4 grandparents who were Ivorians in order to run for the presidency, and he only had 3. So they tried to disqualify him in that coup when Robert Guy, the Yakuba man or the Don man from Ivory Coast, who overthrew the government for Henry Konan Blede, and he himself was overthrown by Laurent Gbagbo, backed by the crowns in Ivory Coast, and they killed him in 1999, and that's how Gbagbo, they had elections, and the RPF came to power. So, I mean, Ivory Coast is complicated, but it's going to affect us in Liberia when anything happens, especially in the southeast, because a lot of people from Maryland, from San Pedro, the Crew people there, the Gribble people there, they will all cross over and come to the southeastern region. So we have to take it seriously. But we know President Boyka has neglected the southeast. Anything that's has to do with the southeast, not really interested in it. And this could be a situation that will spill over into Liberia. It could cause a mass refugee problems. Humanitarian crisis can happen. So I think the government needs to take a closer look at it. So I just want to come on, and give my 2 cents on that, but I'll pass the mic.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the input and a lot of information being revealed. Thank you. I'll go ahead and ask Mr. Eastman. Now we know that there are Burkinabes in Liberia, about 7,000 of them that have been registered in counties like Grand Judea, Nimba, and Bong. Should we? What is the standpoint for the Liberian government? Now should we integrate them into our society and do more screenings and make them to be involved in agriculture with helping Liberians, in those regions as well? Or is this an opportunity for us to strengthen our border and, try and see if we can detect who enters our country and who stays?
That's a good question. The way I see Liberia, there's so many things that we have to improve. Our labor force, when you look at the caliber of our labor force, is lacking in so many ways. So I look at the influx of these Burkinabes as an opportunity to put their labor to use, but it has to be done in a organized and forethought way. We can have them do several projects without conflict. There is a spillover. Our borders are porous. There is this inpouring of refugees from Burkina Faso. So, but how do you deal with them? And I say the day you deal with them is to put them to work, because let's face it, our place is underdeveloped. We're not giving credit to people who have the requisite expertise to do the jobs. So eventually, these systems will crumble. As long as you're not employing the right people in the right systems, it will eventually break down. So I'm saying that this influx of people, maybe it will sway the Liberian way of doing things now, putting incompetent people in positions, to having people who only have who will be competent doing the work. And because this trend is going, is really breaking Liberia down little by little. So we need more people who will bring expertise to our country. And I don't want them to go and displace the Crown people. That is why I say they have to do this in an organized way. We don't want them fighting with even Nimba, because the Crown and Nimba and the Gios, they are very related. All those tribes were once upon a time, there were no borders. They were all the same people. So I think we need to employ strategies that will put these people to work gainfully for the Republic, instead of trying to ostracize them.
Anthony, can I just get 10 seconds?
One more second, brother. Let me just say something quick with Dr. Pearson before you come in. These guys, to their credit, are expert cocoa farmers. You know, the cacao, they're expert at it. They encroach in these lands. They go there to do these cash crops, farming for subsistence, and they make a lot of money. And there's even, rumors, not rumors, but verified, reports coming from places like Grenada.
Yes.
That Grenadians are hiring them to plant cocoa, because they know how to really cultivate it. But there's a deeper hidden agenda underneath it. That's the point. Go ahead, Mr. Dr. Pearson.
Let us get something from the house's own mouth, right? So the senator of Grenada, Yaya Nimne, right, had said already that the issue with the Burkinabe is that they are not, quote unquote, just entering illegally. His argument, one of the arguments, was that people were selling permits to them for cheap, right? I think he mentioned, I think like $20 a person for cheap. Another thing he mentioned I want to bring to our attention, you remember I mentioned that majority of our people in the rural community are farmers. Another thing he mentioned is that it is not that they are coming because they're hard worker, they are coming to work for Liberians. That's not the Yaya said something. He said these guys come, and because they come with some cash or some resources or some seeds with them, they ask for lands. So say if you get a man 25 hectares of land, and you say, okay, my man say you want to do farm, I give you 25 hectares of my own land. And then this guy is squash on the 25 hectares. The next thing you notice, say he alone cannot brush 25 hectares. After 2 weeks, you come on the farm, you see the man there with 20 people instead of him alone. And then the next thing you see, he coming with his wives, their wives and their children. And before you know it, the guys are brushed beyond 25 hectares. They're going to 30 to 35 hectares. And now someone's land has been encroached upon in addition to the land that they were given initially. So I think this is not just about them being hard worker. I think it's about us understanding the dynamics of our economy and how we may lose it and make our people slave to the very people who are trying to be a kind to. So I don't want us to have Liberia in the next 20 years that Liberians are now being seen as a slave trading on Burkinabe cocoa farms, because Burkinabe own the cocoa farms. I think we should look more into what is going on, and the government of Liberia should step in and be more robust and investigate this thing further.
Thank you. Mr. George,
I'm still stuck on everything that Elvis said, so I want to ask him a question.
Go ahead. I'll give you the time.
All right. If what you're saying has truths in it, right? Wouldn't our government be receiving some type of intel from neighboring governments where it will force them to kind of scrutinize this whole situation, or at least increase military presence among the border. I'm not questioning anything they say I don't agree with you or it can't be that, but I'm saying if you know, wouldn't our government be in the know as well?
All right. I have family in the Ivory Coast. My brother George. I have family that live in Guimont. My father family live out there. And I speak a little French. So I watch some Ivorian news and we know what's going on. There's a channel called Way TV on YouTube. So that the Crown People TV in the Ivory Coast. And they've been crying about this issue because since Bagbo left, which was their ally, when Ouattara came, like I told you, he's been suppressing those people in the Moya Kabbalah region, which is in the Man district in southern Ivory Coast, where most of these cool people live, including the Gribbles that crossed in San Pedro, including the crewmen. So these people have been suppressed because, again, they are backers of Laurent Gbagbo, which is the enemy of Ouattara. And these guys have gone into the forest. Crown people don't plant cocoa. And Ivory Coast is one of the largest producers of cocoa. They do
Diva.
the cassava, yeah. They do their cassava farming, their subsistence farming, but they don't plant cocoa. And all over Ivory Coast, from the middle to the northern part of Ivory Coast, there's cocoa plenty. But in the southern region, the land is not being used for cocoa farming. So they went into those lands forcefully. Most of the time, forcefully, people died. A lot of Crown Ivorians are living in Grenada permanently now because they were displaced from the land by these guys. So they encroach on those lands, use those lands for cocoa farming rather than farming cassava and other things that the Crown people would eat in that region. They start taking the land, using it for cocoa farming because it's a cash crop. It's easier to get money out of it rather than using it to sustain yourself with subsistence farming. So I'm telling you that Joseph Boyka, our president, he hasn't been a friend to the Southeast. For those of us who come from that region, during the election time, he never went there and visited the Southeast. So a lot of things that goes on in the Southeast, it seems like the president don't care about. The Crown people have been complaining that this has been happening. There was even a fake news that came up during the election time that Burkinabes training in Nigeria to overthrow the government or something, some kind of crazy thing. There's been a lot of rumors coming from that region. But our president is not paying heed to it. For whatever reason, he doesn't seem to care about the southeastern region. But those of us who have family members, who have intimate tribal knowledge of these things, we know what's going on there. There's going to be violence. If the government don't step in, I know my people, the Burkinabes too are tough people, but it's going to be violence. And when that violence happens, it's going to escalate. It can destabilize our country. So if the president don't want to send the armed forces there to regulate and to put some of these people under control, there's going to be widespread violence. And then it would be, the Crown people, they're violent, blah, blah, blah. But when we're crying out for help, nobody's helping us. Our president is not listening to the cries of the people. When we turn to violence, then we're the bad people. So, that's what it is. We can call on the president to go and intervene, but from what we're seeing, he's not willing to send the military there to put things under control.
All right, back to you, Mr. George. What's the answer to the question about if we should integrate these people in our society to provide us, because we heard that they are being hired by the people in Grenada as well too to do some cocoa farming. So is it wise that the Liberian government should take advantage of that situation, or improve security at the borders, as well as survey who's coming in, take notes, document these people, and be able to filter out, right, the people who come in with good intentions from the people who are coming with bad intentions?
As far as the farming is concerned, like I said, our sector isn't developed enough for us to say that we're able to take advantage of anyone's skill set. So I don't want to, I don't want to act like it's a possibility when there isn't a system in play for the people who are already here. And my concern would be people being displaced by those who have more skills than them that aren't necessarily Liberians. So no, I don't think that we should shoot for trying to utilize their skills in hopes of it pushing this arrest agenda. If anything, once again, it goes back to immigration, protection of borders, and understanding who's actually coming into our region so that we can make sure it's stable in the future.
All right, welcome to the show, Mr. Victor Nambe. We're currently on the topic of 7,000 influx of Burkinabes refugees out in counties like Grand Jita, Nima, and Bong County. And there have been reports about, you know, forestry, illegal forestry going on, illegal farming, as well as taking over of land that are not being given to them properly. What is your viewpoint on this, and what solution do you think that the government of Liberia should provide, especially when you look at agencies like immigration as well as public works too?
Well, thank you for having me, and great show. It's good to be here with you guys. Let me thank our audience also for hanging with us. I was coming in, I listened to parts, bits and pieces of the show. I heard someone say, we Liberia, we give refuge to a lot of our brothers and sisters on the continent. I mean, from South Africa to Sudan, all over the place. And then in the late 80s to the 90s, our turn came around. A lot of people also gave us refuge. So this is reciprocity. I think we shouldn't be shunning refugees because we have been there and done that. I think what is of concern here is the legality of what is going on, and I think this is what many people are concerned about. It appears that some of these people are engaging activities that are not legal, that are legally sanctioned by the government of Liberia. And I think that everything should be done to make sure, that whatever they're doing, they do it legally, especially the mining. You didn't mention Maryland, where I'm from, Borough. There are people in there now who are mining, and the problem that people are having, the locals, is that some of these people are using methods that are not the best methods. They go and dig the biggest water in the town that everyone uses to drink, to wash clothes, and everything. And then, yes, they're getting whatever mineral they're getting from underneath, but then there's a bigger problem of potable water for the people, the locals, and that is posing a major problem. So I think these things should be regulated. I think that's what the concerns are. Besides, yes, they should be paying taxes to the government. The government right now is, is trying hard to bring in revenue, and so I think this is what is of concern to many people. Are these people being regulated? Are they registered? Do they have the proper training to do what they're doing? Those are some of the questions I think we should seek to answer. But yes, if these are refugees who are fleeing whatever that's happening back home, I think we should receive them because others have done the same for us.
Okay. Thank you for being on the show as well too. We'll love to move on to the next topic after discussing some solutions. Everyone on this show believes that the government, or agrees that the government should definitely intervene, right, and put down immigration at their borders to strengthen security, whether it's by deploying our armed forces over there to really go through, because there are reports about from the senator in Grand Jita that some of these people were armed allegedly. So we have to take this issue to be very serious, right? We have been in situations where we have, Liberians, we have been displaced as well before, and some people might have some people have personal experiences, as well as when they went to countries like Ivory Coast, countries like Ghana, right? We saw how they treated our people. And we're not saying that it's time for us to repay that, but we should be very wise with our borders. We should secure them. And we are already a vulnerable nation. When you take away farming from us, you took away our land that's already being taken away by other foreigners as well too, that our government are signing deals and concessions for. We can't have another instance going on with other people from different nations seeking refuge as well too. But
if I may just mention quickly, Anthony.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another issue that seems to be concerning most of us is that it appears that these people are being ushered into these interior parts of Liberia by government officials, and some of these people are legislators. There are reports of Senator Sobwe, taking some of these people to River G. There are press reports. There are press reports of Romeo Quio, and this is my old friend, taking some of these people to Sino and bribing some of the locals to give these people entry. Now, when these people go in under this kind of umbrella, they feel then that they're better than the rest of the local people, and this is where some of the problems are coming from, because now they feel they are untouchable. They cannot be regulated by the local authority. So yes, I think the government should look into this, and I think especially our lawmakers, they need to do the best to go through the investment commission or whatever the process is. There's nothing wrong with, if you want to, if you own a mining license, I don't know what the regulations are, but if you have a legitimate mining license, the license should be used properly, and don't just grab a bunch of people, put them in the truck, and then take them into the interior and seek them on the people. I think this is also a major issue of concern as well.
I want to add a little bit to what Mr. Nangbe just said. If the laws, the statutes of our country are being broken down, they are not being honored. They're bypassing, they're accepting bribes, and they are slowly eroding the fabric of Liberia. Those people are bribing their ways to anything. Everything is a bribe. There is nobody honoring the dignity of Liberia. And as a result, we are selling our country. And it's going to be sold until we have leaders who will not undermine the very constitution they swore themselves to protect. We have a big sellout in Liberia that's going on. It's not surprising that there's an influx like that people are just coming, taking land, because Liberia is for sale. We're not looking at where the problem is. The problem is in the leadership. The leadership that refused to implement the security guidelines, the integrity of government and its processes. We refuse. And I say it's going to continue this way until we start putting our foot down and obeying the laws we agreed to follow. This is what's going to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Eastman. I appreciate that input. But let's stay on the issue of job creation. Let's stay on the issue of foreigners, right? We saw it in recent news that the Minister of Public Works, he granted 8,000 work permits for foreigners, and it shows that he didn't know the specifics of the work permits, right? And you have Senator Darius Dillon calling that he should be persecuted and he should also be thrown in jail. We know that Liberia is a country that has a very high unemployment rate. Why is it that we are giving work permits to foreigners and not our own people? Like, is it another way of saying that Liberian people, they're lazy, that we don't want to employ our own, or is it a negligence from the minister's point, right, to criticize him and to persecute him as well? Because you look at this minister, he was brought in by the president. So what is it that we have on this panel we have to say to that issue? Because it's a very alarming issue that 8,000 work permits were granted, and the person that granted those permits are saying that they did not know the details of the jobs, and the job were I think it was for driving, for carpentry and other like basic jobs that Liberians are able to do as well. I'll go ahead and go to Mr. Clarence Pearson, Dr. Clarence Pearson.
Thank you, Anthony. Is I think we're talking about the labor ministry. I think it's Copper Minister Copper Kra. Yeah. The thing about this is that this is not new. For as long as I've been in Liberia, look, hands down. Let me first say Liberians are lazy people. And I'm saying this as a Liberian. I'm not saying it as a foreigner. We Liberians are lazy people. All right. When I say we are lazy people, I'm not saying the entire country, but I'm talking about those who you expect to be going out there and getting jobs, and not zealous for their jobs. And for instance, you get Liberian men on a little piece of job right now, the menial job. Maybe you say, "Come, mama, container." The first thing, let me give you a real life story. So I got a friend who has a container on the Congotown back road. He has these guys selling for him. The men is selling. When they have $7,000, the idea is to take the money to the bank before the business day ends, right? So he has $7,000. I'll give it to the man's wife to keep until the next day when you come back. So $7,000, the guys come and say, "Oh, you know, I've been last night. Somebody jumped through the container and they broke in and took $7,000 from in the container." Okay, so who knew 7,000 in the container? Stuff like that. You open store, you give it a report to man, you come, all the goods in the store will finish, and no money to show for it. You tell somebody, say, you might, you might cannot bring my car. You bring your car. The man say you're changing your car parts. You take the part from there. You come up with the car. The same problem. You go look in the car. The same old parts in there, and he took the money for new parts. So that's what I mean when I say Liberians are lazy to an extent, right? We don't give a lot of attention to our jobs. Now, which means I've beat on myself to begin with. Now let me go to the idea about the whole corporate craft thing. Now, let me say this, and I should say this. Our country is lacking leadership to the extent that people you expect to go to work and sit behind the desk and make the decisions and follow through on issues that will impact the country will not go to work, Anthony. Those guys were driving a car, they will enter that office by around 12 in the afternoon, or maybe 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning, 12 they will enter the office, they will not open any paper. And even if they open a paper, they will only be patient enough to read 2 pages or 3 pages, and they will close that book. And if somebody is issuing licenses out for work permit, they are not reading through the documents. I'm telling you, because I sat there myself. I sat in government working, beside private sector, I sat in government Liberia working. I make reports and carry it to my bosses. They complaining, "Maybe you gave me too much work to do. What can I report here again, Chief? This is the end report of the ministry or the commission. What the case is, you have to read through this and validate this report before I can send it for print. How is it a bother for me to give you the end report for you to read through it? We're giving people a contract to do strategic plan for certain segment of government. I sat in New York City. I was attending a meeting, and this guy that we hired, this consultant, to do a national plan for us, he sent me a whole packet of documents. I went through it. They did not meet the United Nations standard for the transition in such plan development. I sent a man the document back. One of my bosses sent me email. "Why are you giving the consultant hard time? We just want to finish the thing quick so they make and do the work so we can start working." And I'm like, I'm like, but it does not meet the requisite, the standard. So then the guy wrote me back from Ghana. He said, "Oh, thank you, Dr. Mr. Pearson." I now have my PhD by then. He said, "Thank you, Mr. Pearson. You provided me information that is relevant to the work I'm coming to do for your country. I will reassess what I'm doing and I will make the adjustment." While my bosses at home were forcing on me while I gave them more work to do. So it comes to Copper did not read any of those papers that are being signed. The only thing Copper concerned with what is in it for him. That all there. How many? Sorry, y'all sold a few days. We sold 800. Okay, send some of the money to my account and put the other one in the government account. That's it. And then you go in Liberia and you see Lebanese further the stores. You see Indians further the stores. Many jobs are supposed to be doing Lebanese. At least they're trying now. When I went to Liberia a few days, I saw Liberians standing, but then you still got the Lebanese and the Indians standing over them while the Liberians are doing the teller job. I mean, that's ridiculous. But that goes as far as technical jobs as well. Where foreigners are getting 3,000, Liberians doing the same work getting $500, $600 for it. It's unfair to our people. Very unfair.
Mr. Morris, what's your stance on this issue?
All right, thank you. Look, what is legal may not be expedient, right? So Cooper Craft has been somebody who people have complained about with shady dealings, being an arrogant person, stealing people's land. He's a guy who had character issues before he was even appointed to this position. So legally, he's well within his rights to give these permits. But there's the nuance of giving out the permits that it has to be a position that no other, like, you can't find no Liberian to work in. So of course, low skilled jobs where, even accountants. There's a lot of accountants in Liberia. There are people who can be shop boys, people who can be drivers, people who can be cooks. So a lot of these companies, the only time they really enforce it is with the big companies, Mittal, the maybe B Mountains, where these big companies want to bring their people from back home and hire them. That's when it's enforced. Are you guys saying it was 800 permits or 8,000? Because I think there's a conflicting report on it.
8,000.
8,000. So by my rudimentary math, that's $8 million, because I'm told that one of these permits is $1,000. And Councilor Talon Gongo said that he put that stringent measure in place, specifically to divert people from engaging in bringing foreigners to come work in Liberia. I think we're not a zealous people when it comes to our country. We're not patriotic to the fact that we are so jealous of our nationality that we protect it with a jealous zeal. We don't do that. And part of that is because the foundation of our country was, a land that was a refuge for all Black people from across the world, right? So we're supposed to be welcoming to other people, but we particularly excluded foreigners, people who are non-Negro people. Indians are not Black people. They're Aryans, they're Aryan people. They're typically white people. Lebanese are Semitic people. They're not Black people. So when we try to prioritize other groups of people over our own people, it's a dereliction to our patriotism and to our love of self and nationhood. And I think on a legal issue, Kubwa Kra should be held in contempt, because you, as a government official, you have to be meticulous and judicious in how you carry out your functions as a minister. You can't just sign paper without reading. As a lawyer, reading is fundamental in your profession. So you have to be able to read and see everything that you're signing, understand it, comprehend what you're signing. So tell us, as a minister, that you didn't know what these specific permits was for. That's an insult to the senators, and I think they took a great offense to that, and they should, because it should only be given to people who have a special skill set that no other Liberian can do. In Nigeria, in Ghana, especially in Ghana, you can have the highest degree from Harvard, from Yale, from anywhere. If there's a Ghanaian that can do that job, they'll give it to the Ghanaian, even if he's less qualified than you. So I'm telling you that Kubwa Kra, people don't like when I say it, but he's a corrupt guy. He really is. From his previous dealings and his previous interactions with our regular Liberians, they complained about him, and we had issues. The people were even protesting against his, when he was supposed to be justice minister. Imagine, he was supposed to be the justice minister. His name was on that list, and people protested against it, and they brought him down to labor minister. So for me, I think this is just a reflection of who we are as a people. As the PSN said, I won't go that far, but I think Liberians we do want to work. It's just that our ethics are lacking. When it comes to workplace ethic, I think we lack far behind other people in our region. People tend to steal from you in Liberia. We know that. People tend to take shortcuts, cut corners, steal time. So I agree with that. But people are yearning for a job, a paying job. So overall, I think Kubwa Kra killed the country. He didn't show patriotism. He didn't show that he was looking out for Liberia's best interest. The public interest should always come first, even if you're talking about issue of legality. Yes, you can give permits to these people if they're applying for it, but only when there's no Liberian that can do the job. So I'll leave it there for now, and I'll pass the mic to somebody else.
All right, now, Mr. Brownell, what's your viewpoint on this issue? 8,000 work permits being given to foreigners who are not Africans, they're not from ECOWAS state either. What's your viewpoint on this issue?
Yeah, the first thing that came to mind was how every time I fly into Liberia, I'm sitting on a plane filled with foreigners. They already got all their documents, their visas, everything's ready. When we get to immigration, there's no scrutiny for them. So for the minister to say he has no idea on the details of the permit, I just keep thinking about the foreigners, and then I'm thinking about, okay, who has the capital to actually bring all of these guys in? Then who has the capital to just cut a deal? Because if what Morris is saying is correct, right? They got to pay $1,000 for a permit. So we need to audit. We need to audit who received the work permits and which companies were involved in this in this scandal alongside with the minister, because these aren't one-off situations. This is definitely a situation where somebody is coming and saying, hey, I got 50 guys coming in, they're supposed to be working for me. Can you sign off on these? They would need their documents. That's what's going on. And they're telling their friends it, and the word is passing along, and our minister is making money off of it. That's the only thing I can think of. And the only reason they even basically asking him about it right now is because he probably didn't share that money with someone else. So that's
You think so? You think that might happen?
yeah, I'm sure. Maybe he didn't break bread with who he was supposed to break bread with, and that's what, because when you think about it, right? Why? Who else, a Liberian person isn't going to go pay $1,000 for an Indian guy to drop them? That means it's an organization. Is an Indian person who already has his company over here that needs an Indian driver. Is a Lebanese guy who already has his store here that needs a Lebanese driver, and his friend is just coming in and they don't have the documentation yet. So they are the ones who have the capital to do so. And the way how syndicates work, you know, sometimes you're supposed to pay off your friend who also has his syndicate so that y'all can make your whole thing go according to plan. But when you aren't breaking bread with the proper people and you aren't sharing the wealth and they find out you're making too much, the public disgrace can sometimes come. So that's how I see it. But I don't have a true solution for it, because on the books, yeah, Liberians are supposed to be prioritized, but it goes back to what Mr. Eastman said as well. I mean, the country has no dignity at this point, and a lot of the things that we're supposed to abide by, we don't. And people see that loophole and they take advantage of it. So you have people coming to the country specifically to take advantage of a weak system, and the system has been weak for decades. So this isn't something that's new, that it's just reoccurring. And, you know, sometimes when we speak about it now, it just gets annoying. Not for me necessarily, but I'm just saying in general, sometimes we might look at it like it's something new, but these things have been going on for decades now. And it's simply because we don't have the proper systems in play to stop things like this from occurring. That's why corruption is able to run rampant here in our country.
Yeah, and I will go on further to agree with you in saying that we do need to audit some of these dues, because why is it only that we're just now finding out about this due, right? And he's only being said to be persecuted for this and not prior dues or prior work permits that he has signed over.
Well, can I add this too, Russ, right? Mm-hmm. In most of these ministries, smaller government agencies, except for LRA is the only one where you see a automated system that people can log into, upload their credentials, pay their taxes through their phone. You only see that with LRA, right? With a lot of these other ministries, people are doing things by hand. That's an issue right there. So even for them to say it's 8,000 instances of this occurring, right? I know there isn't a technological system in place for them to go through, export an Excel spreadsheet and say, hey, where are all these funny names coming from? And not to disrespect anyone who's a foreigner, but where are these names that aren't Liberian coming from, and why are they applying for positions to be drivers and this, that, and the third? I know they don't have a spreadsheet saying that, and if they do have a spreadsheet, it's written in, right? So they have to assume it's 8,000, but 8,000, you got to think, is still a low-end number. It's probably much higher than that. We don't know how many. We just came from talking about the Burkinabes. We don't know how many foreigners are actually in our country. That's the sad reality. So maybe if we got into an implementation of making things up to speed, more standard with what's going on globally as far as technology being involved in some of these systems, when you go to get your documentation, it can help alleviate us of the exposure to a corrupt individual getting involved in the process and benefiting from it.
Thank you. Mr. Namwe, unemployment rate in the country is very high, especially amongst youth. And you have the labor minister out here passing jobs around to foreigners. Uh, is there a specific reason as to why he only picked foreigners, and to say that he doesn't know the details of these jobs? Shouldn't that be alarming? And should the president actually, step in? Because these are things that we might take for granted, right? The president was the one that appointed the minister of labor, and I think that he should be able to also persecute him as well, and other anti-corruption agencies should be able to step in. So, what's your viewpoint and take on this?
Well, yeah, let me welcome Elvis back. Apparently went to take a bite or whatever he's doing in the back. Listen, I think it was Mr. Eastman or Dr. Pearson who said, is listeners, I think they're being generous. Look, this minister of labor is a lawyer, all right? And the prescription for issuing out the work permit is right on their website. He reads these things. It is also my understanding that in his previous life, he may have represented people in this category, people seeking work permit. So he's very, very occurring with, the process, the procedure, the requirement. He knows that. My brother Brunel here was just intimating, maybe, high paying customers like maybe the Lebanese or Indian. But don't forget our legislators who are carrying these people, they're very rich. It is very possible our legislators are the very people, the very Burkinabes we were just talking about. They might fall in this category. Because you have these people mining a piece of, land for you, they're bringing thousands of dollars. You can afford to fork out, $1,000. I think it's per year or something like that. I think
Mr.
that's
Nagy, let me can I say something before you go for it?
Sure.
You know how I know it's not work permits for other black people, because if it was for black people, they would say that. It's the same way how they're quick now to say, oh, the Burkinabes are doing illicit mining and we're deporting some of them, but they would never do that with Chinese people. That's how I know these work permits are not for other black people. These work permits are for
well,
people.
you do have a point there, but when I read up on this, I think they said almost 7,000 of these people. I just saw aliens from
non-African.
Exactly. Yeah. So a good chunk of these people could very well be, these Burkinabes we're talking about. And I agree with Mr. Brunel here. Maybe the chopping didn't go around, because if you do the math, as Mr. Murray said, that's about $8 million in 5 months. It is over a 5-month period. That's an average of $1.6 million per month. I think that's not chump change for any of us sitting here or anybody in Liberia for that matter. There's a lot of money going around. So yeah, I think that this, Dillon, as inconsistent and unreliable as he is, I gotta give him a little bit of credit for flagging this issue. I don't know how far he's gonna go with it, because I think he's conflicted. He's on a rescue train and then he's in the opposition. How can the two things happen at the same time? I don't know. But at least he must be given credit for flagging this thing. Hopefully he's not being driven by denial of his part of the brown envelope. I hope that's not the reason. But this thing, these are the little things, as some of my colleagues have intimated here. These are the little things that build up to make a country strong. $8 million being raised over 5 months. That's $8 million that could do a lot of things. I hope they're putting it to good use. But more than that, yeah, the minister really should be called in. I think the excuse he's providing is flimsy. He doesn't know, no, he does. He's a lawyer, and he has also, he's argued before the court for some of these. We know exactly what it takes. So I reject that. That justification from him. So I hope this is hearing that Senator Dillon is requesting. I hope it will be granted, and I hope, just like they did, in previous times, they make it in camera so that we can all, follow them and kind of understand what is happening. Unemployment is high in this country, but also we need the tax dollars. So yeah, $1,000 a pop. That's also another good way to bring in money to help the country. So we'll be seeing, we'll be watching, rather.
Thank you, Mr. Eastman. Unemployment rate is high, especially amongst the youth, and we're out here giving out work permits to people that are not Liberian, not even African. Almost 70% or 75 to 80% of that work permit that was handed out it was given to non-African, and then I would say 15 to 20% was also given out to people that were from the non-ECOWAS region. So what is it that Liberia is actually doing to alleviate some of the unemployment rate? This government said that they were different.
Look, I say, Mr. Russell, we are not serious. Just look at crime. The CIA or FBI, Interpol tipped the Liberian government of a drug cash coming in the country. They go to the airport, they book the cash, the criminals with the food of crime, the FOC. They go to the court and the people go free. We are not, I'm telling you, Liberia is up for sale. If we were serious to alleviate the the unemployment problem, we will be building up our youth, teaching them skills, and giving them things that they can use tomorrow. We're not putting, none of that is in the budget. What are we prioritizing in the budget? Making senators and representatives fat, giving them luxurious salaries, and neglecting the masses of the people. Look, if you go, Nami Wadeba, he only there for 3. If you go there, if you want to join what's going on, you will have to become corrupted. Several times I work with people, and they only want people who want to play that game. Liberia's up for sale. All these things that are going on is up for sale. Nothing going to come out of it because they're all into it. What I can get, what they don't realize, they are breaking down the country. And eventually, somebody will really take over that country because you will make it so weak, so feeble, that none of the institutions will be working correctly. You will have unrest, and before you know it, somebody else will not come and take over. We are not trying to rebuild the pillars that a democracy needs to stand on, and that one of them is the people. Are you rebuilding the youth? Are you doing what they call capital development? Why? There's nothing going into these things. The skill, those people who come in with their skills, you think they're teaching Liberians? You think they're teaching, when the people bring their stuff, you think they're showing Liberians how to do it? And then sometimes when you go and you want work done, you know you have to go to a foreigner? I gotta be honest. If you want a good tailor job or something done, you will not go to a Liberian. Very few. You would most likely go to a foreigner. Why are we not developing our? You know, it's unfortunate what is happening, and people, all they're interested in riding cars, being a big shot, getting money willy-nilly, and not doing anything for the development of the country. That's all I see going on there.
We saw this arrest agenda, that says that the president said that he's going to prioritize technology. He's going to prioritize Liberians. We saw that the 10,000 digital literacy program that he did. We didn't really get any details or specifics or reportings on that about if 10,000 people were digitally trained on digital literacy, right? And then he comes with providing work permits, 8,000 work permits. You're training people in digital. Then he can provide 8,000 work permits. And the person that is supposed to be giving out those work permits, they say they don't know the details of it, and they give it to foreigners. So my whole point here is that should Liberia adopt the Ghanaian and the Nigerian, where Mr. Morris talked about that, where they talk about, Ghanaians first, Nigerians first, whenever there are job opportunities, right? Because I do believe that there are competent Liberians that can help you, right? If they don't do the job, they're up for firing, right? But should we adopt that initiative as Liberians, or is it something that we should look for in adapting services from other foreigners who are able to do the jobs?
Okay, good question. We can't put the cart before the horse. You need to prepare the people first. You need to educate the people first. So we need to do human capacity development. We need to, we need to have all kinds of training going on. Once you start that training, people are getting trained as artisans, plumbers, this, then you limit install some law or regulation like that only these jobs can go to librarians. But if you do it now, you will find out what we do. Several companies went to Liberia and they said we can't find qualified, skilled persons. Yes.
Let's talk about the work permit. The work permit right now, right? There is about carpentry, is about driving. So you're trying to tell me we can't find qualified Liberians who know how to drive?
Yeah,
But Russell, that's not stated in the permits who it was given to, whether it was for carpentry or for cashiers or for office clerks. That's the issue. These could be permit that was given for high skilled labor or position that Liberians can do. So we don't know. That's the issue there.
No. It is stated that some of the jobs were driving jobs, carpentry as well. The permits, yeah.
I want to come here quickly on that topic before. I want to say this is a race issue, and I hate to bring down our race, but the Lebanese dominate the entirety of our West African economy. If you go to Ivory Coast, the Lebanese are entrenched in the Ivory Coast. You go to Ghana, they're there. Nigeria, even worse. So let's not fool ourselves and think we're unique, that foreigners are dominating our economy. They do that in many African countries, especially in West Africa. Even in Kenya, when you go to Kenya, the Indians in Kenya have been there since colonial times. You go to South Africa, the Gupta, family in South Africa who fund these politicians, the likes of Zuma and Ramaphosa, they are dominating the South African economy. These people are on our continent dominating us economically. Now let's go back to Idi Amin, right? He expelled all the Indians from Uganda, and his economy crashed the very next day. Couldn't sustain his economy without the foreigners. Let's ask ourselves that question: can we sustain Liberia's economy if we kick out the Lebanese and out all the Indians? Do we have the capacity and the ability to import goods on frigates, on containers, on ships, and be able to sustain our economy for year in and year out without these Lebanese? Ask yourself that question. We're not talking about a guy who can collect barrel and put it on one container and ship it for $20,000. We're talking people who can bring 10 containers on a ship at a time for $200,000, for $300,000 a trip. Do we have many Liberians that can do that? Of course not. The second best option would be to form a conglomerate. You have the guy Siku at the NPA, the National Port Authority, became a millionaire doing shipping business. Can he leave that position, form a private corporation of other like-minded Liberians, head it because he's really, really good at that business, and form a shipping company, a Liberian-owned shipping company that can bring goods from all over the world to sustain our economy? Why go work in government when you can make way more money and be more impactful by forming a Liberian-owned company and do the shipping thing that you know very well? So the reality is we don't expand. We're a conservative people culturally. We don't like to get outside of our comfort zone. How many Liberians are out there becoming, international businessmen that are doing business in China and doing big business? Instead, we just go there and go buy weave. We go there and go buy, cosmetic and bring it back and sell it. We're not doing shipping business. So my point here is, as Africans, we're being dominated by these people. The Indians, the Lebanese are running riot all over West Africa. It's not just us. The Nigerians who are very smart, Ghanaians who are also very studious, they're also being, taken advantage by these foreigners. So that's a bigger issue than
I gotta
just us
say
from the
this.
continent.
I gotta say this to your comment, though, Elvis. I think you're absolutely right, but I have to say too that this is where I think the concerns come in, the way the work permits have been issued in Liberia. The instances you're citing, I mean, we have visited these regions, and there are restrictions. These people are present in Nigeria and Ghana and other parts, Kenya, but there are restrictions. There's something that they just can't do. because those areas are set aside for the locals. It is not the case in Liberia. I mean, some of these people are not even from the region. They're bringing people from the Far East to come and drive, you know. And I think this is what is concerning many of us. But you're right. The Phoenicians,
The
Far
Lebanese, the ancient Phoenicians, yeah.
right, and, they're dominating, but in the way it's been done, at least in other parts in the region as well. They're restricting to certain businesses. There, you're right. Maybe the big, multi-million dollar businesses, yes. But there are just some businesses that are restricted to locals. You don't find them doing those kinds of things in the sub-region. This is Liberia has not drawn the line, and this is what is concerning.
Dr. Pearson, what's your closing thoughts on this issue?
Thank you, Anthony. Having heard some things, I just want to put a cap on a couple of things. Like, listen, Evans, there are Liberians who got into the shipping business, but they were not successful because the environment in Liberia is of such that majority of the things you do there is hinged on government officials giving you some green light to get your business to flourish. And as soon as you try to do a business in Liberia under one government, under one regime, and that regime changes rather, they come with a whole new group, and your business gets strangulated a majority of the time. I gave you an instance. Under the Weah administration, there were, I think, the last set of yellow machines that were ordered were almost close to 100 or so in a deal that was struck with a Liberian owned business. When Joseph Burkinabes came and took over, needed to do 200 plus machines, they left the Liberian owned business and they dumped it, and they called it the CDC company, CDC business, and they dumped it, and they went for a foreigner to bring 285 yellow machines on a bogus means. So that guy business, definitely, I guess, if you want to ask him right now, he's struggling until this other regime can be over. And he's just one in a million. They seem to go for local NGOs in our country. But let me go a step further. When it comes to empowering Liberians, I have said a couple of things before, and I hope people will listen. We have structural issues around this thing. For us to empower a middle income generation of Liberians who will work like we want them to work like in developed countries, we have to put certain structure in place. Number one, how do we incentivize their learning? Why would a young man want to go to the technical vocational training center and government got no major project, maybe major projects for low housing development across the country? Maybe Liberians are still living in thatch and mud floor and mud house. Now I'm not talking about my man Gabe Brunel. Brunel living in a modern brick house, modern mud house, right? A mud house is not just mud house; it's a modern mud house, right? Right. But how do we incentivize the young people who want to like Eastman called it other day, call it targeted learning? So what is it that we want to prioritize? What are those career areas that we can prioritize in universities, in technical vocational training centers, and protect that area and incentivize it by telling young people, if you went in these fields, we can guarantee you'll get employed coming out of those fields. Whether for national developmental purposes or whether for infusing into companies that have enshrined in the MDAs, these areas that Liberians have to be infused into. And that foreigners will not take those jobs because the Liberians are preparing for that area to be absorbed into the economy. Another thing I want to say, when last did we even, and I said this to my friends in Liberia, why can't we have a portal that shows employment data? Whether it's youth employment data, whether it's the level of jobs that are available based on the new companies that are coming, level of jobs available based upon what passing through labor ministries in terms of opportunities that are coming into the country, and then we can see on the job boards and see how we can tailor whether it is how you guys call it mentoring program, whether it is a vocational, how you call it when they train on vacation to go to special program in these institutions and practice, and then by the time they're graduating, they're familiarize themselves with the programs. They've been
internships,
right? Internship, and they can gravitate, through employment by the time they're graduating. But no, we just get the This scatterbat approach of things in Liberia. We don't want to be organized. We don't want to be systematic. We just want things to happen because we say it should happen, but we're not planning towards them. And I think it's worrisome. The next 10 years, I'll still having the same conversation if our government is not strategic about how they approach this.
That appears. Let me say this quickly, right? Servers, people who are in the IT world, servers, right? Technology when it comes to server, hosting data on a server. We don't have stable electricity, and most of these internet things that you see in the workplace, in the medical field, the data is being held on a server. So if that electricity goes off and that server is down, the entire database is going to be down. So we have to have stable electricity to have server where you can go on the internet. Anybody, like the last time you guys are having this discussion about the medical field, right? And people say, "Yeah, lady, that down." Let me take 10 seconds to say this. I think the biggest issue in Liberia is the fact that we don't have medical continuity, right? So if I go to the hospital and they put me in the computer, they will see my history, my pre-existing conditions that I had, my medication, what I am allergic to, if I'm allergic to penicillin or some other drug, they will know all of those things about me. So the doctor will know how to move and how to operate on me effectively. But most people, they don't have a primary physician. They go into some of these doctors operating on them for the very first time. They don't know their pre-existing condition. They don't know their medical history. And they might do something that maybe they're allergic to, and it could kill them. So that's the issue. We have to have a system, a computerized system that's backed up by servers. And you would need consistent electricity to run those servers. I think, Russell, you're in the IT field, or maybe it's the other brother. Well, you guys know the importance of servers and how it works.
Actually, Elvis, I built data centers. I was just recruited. Soon I came back, they recruited me to go in.
There you go.
That's what I do for a living nowadays. But I can tell you, beside just city power, which is not always available in Liberia, you need generators. So if either you have to have a UPS system for temporary power and to be switched over eventually to maybe a generator. And these data warehouses, I have put in 100 generators in one data center, 104 megawatt generators. So it's these facilities require a lot of power. But the thing is, we're not putting even the first fundamental things. I think that was number was saying, we're not doing all the first things first. Okay? Why don't we have stable electricity? I think nowadays, all of a sudden, they say the electricity is much better in Memorial. You just coming from there, Nambi. I think that guy who's been appointed to LEC was part of that LGS project, the power line coming from Ivory Coast. Right. So I think he's realized how he can tap into it. He probably knew a long time ago. But again, it comes back that they haven't been putting people who know the job, who are experts in the field, they haven't been putting them in place. So the country will never...
Let me ask you this, Jimmy. Let me ask you this, right? And you're right. When I was there, it compared to other times. But then again, like I said, I always went during the festive season. It was my first time going in April, so I don't know. But let me ask you this. Can we not take advantage of cloud computing? I mean, if we cannot, build our own backup, can our people just store our data somewhere, just access it, on some little solar cell or whatever it is? Because whatever it's saying, a lot of our people have died from mistake because people are not aware of their medical history.
Right.
If you have it digitized, you push in 2 or 3 keys, the record,
Here's the thing with cloud computing.
This person, for instance, cannot take drip because they're diabetic, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, here's the thing with cloud computing. You will still need access to the internet. You will still need power.
No, I understand.
And the security too, it can be easily hacked.
Yes.
So that's a security issue.
I'm just saying, we can get our own.
Yeah, let me get 30 seconds. I beg you.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I like the lazy argument about database, electricity. Those are all lazy arguments.
Okay. We already know you think like people are lazy that appears. We already know that.
Lazy arguments. Let me tell you this. We all have websites all over in Liberia, even Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. If you look on their different websites, they got different jobs posting scattered all over the place. Nothing is comprehensive. Nothing is comprehensive. The only thing we're asking for is to have a platform that gives us an insight on opportunities and how Liberians can access those opportunities and how we can track to those Liberians that are benefiting from those opportunities. Youth employment, that's one of the things. If you went to health, look, the interoperability of health system is not going to happen in Liberia anytime soon, meaning corporate hospital and capital health, electronic medical records speaking to each other. That's not going to happen to Liberia anytime soon. You have offline medical record system that you can download on your computer as a medical doctor and keep track of your patient history. You can do that. Or you can if you don't have a data center, you can store data in the cloud. And anytime you go on the internet, your data is saved there because you're paying for a space in the cloud. I just did a proposed bill that talks about data protection and medical data protection and patients' rights. Because my mother passed away, I couldn't have access. I didn't have access to her medical history, and it didn't help her. Right? So I've been giving that thing to people in Liberia that even the lawmaker, nobody had called me back or even email me or text me back and say, Reverend Pearson or Dr. Pearson, this thing makes sense. Let us see how we can hold medical centers and practitioners accountable for patient health care. Nobody coming back. But I can guarantee you, if I text somebody and say, I got $10,000 for you, almost 50 people will come back and say, I saw someone tell you send to somebody, you didn't send my own. You know what I'm saying? No, we have to take baby steps, but it should be the right steps to improve the country.
Exactly.
And to Dr. Peterson's point, I'm sorry, Jimmy. Look, the point he's making is very valid. You go in Liberia, all the cell phone carriers, they're always on. Even in spite of the fluctuation in the LEC, they're always on. And that's because they have managed to find a way to maintain their system. It can be done. No matter how many times LEC go, Orange is on, whatever the other carrier, Lone Star, they're on all the time. And they are using the same things we're describing. They have their backup to the backup to the backup, and so when one goes down, Jimmy will probably attest to that, the other one kicks in. It just takes a little bit of creativity. There's a little bit of expense involved, but a little bit of creativity and commitment, like Dr. Pearson is saying. But our people, their interest is always in the dollar sign. If there's no dollar sign, immediate dollar sign attached to whatever you're putting in front of them, they can't be bothered.
But Mr. Eastman, I thought you was a patriotic Liberian. Why you haven't offered the bill of data center for us in Liberia? Why you laughing at that, Mr. Eastman?
The one I
and then we'll move
I was just gonna add, I believe Wellness Partners actually saves their patients information, and you have that continuity of medical information when you go to Wellness Partners. So maybe they can help the rest of the government get on board if they're not already in the background trying to push for the same type of technology or share the expertise that they have.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we come on here every day and we talk about some of the things. We might talk about different issues, but it all goes down into this one battle, and it filters down to one thing: leadership, the incompetence. The people that we hiring, they're not the right people. We put in people who have flawed leadership, who have horrible history, and we know that they don't deliver on their promises. They have never delivered on their promises. And we keep employing these people, keep giving them reasons to get rich, to flex on us, our poor people, right? But we are seeing something new with some people might say it's new with the zoning and a situation going on with clearing alleyways, the government saying they're trying to make ways, they're trying to create, they're trying to develop. Should we be surprised by these things? Because the past precedences, right? I remember I was a kid in Liberia, I saw Murray Bro bringing out people's stores for being on the road, too close to the road. She was breaking down stores. She had the like every big machine, a yellow machine that I've seen destroying, stores. They've destroyed those stores. And I went back to Liberia and I saw the roads being even more fucked up than it actually has been. So what is it that we're not doing with these zoning laws? I mean, these zoning laws and also declaring the alleyway. What is it that we're not learning? Because I was back home, I saw roads being cleared. I came back, the road looked more clustered up than it actually looked. Than actually should look as a developed nation, as a nation that is, actually developing. So I'll go ahead with Mr. Eastman. Should we be surprised?
Should we be surprised that
they're clearing roads? Should we be surprised that there's going to be new developments or something is going to change? Because every presidency has done it.
Well, we've had zoning laws in place for many years now, decades. I mean, Public Works was one of the chief custodians of the zoning and laws and implementation of same. What has happened? Okay, you may say during the war, think people were just doing anything they could, building in alleys, building where they didn't need to be, because a lot of people were, taken out of their homes and were refugees, so they were just going anywhere. But today, the war is over now, so they have to implement these zoning laws because actually, it's clogging sewages. With the other day, we saw a whole pool of water in front of City Hall. I've never seen that ever happen before, and it's because the drainages are being blocked because people building everywhere. Now, after you get rid of the or you start implementing zoning, you have to continue it. It can't be for this year. But a few months later, people will come right back and build. So it requires logistics, and it has to have enough budget allocation to carry it out. I keep saying, when I look at the budget, and all of y'all been saying the same thing. When you look at the budget, that
if you're not on, can you please mute? We get us a background noise, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. When you look at the budget and you see how the budget is shaped, that would tell you if the country is going to if we're going to move the needle. We can't put money where we're putting money and expect the country to change. But for some reason, when the leadership does put this budget together, everybody just shuts up and leave it, because that budget tells us we'll not do anything this year. We'll not do anything this year. And until Liberian people put their foot down and say, this year we are budgeting this thing, if you don't do it so that the country will develop, we will not work. We will not do anything. Because what they're doing is a recipe for stagnation. Only giving themselves salaries, it has to stop. And so this zoning thing requires logistical support. And that means you have to put enough money in the budget for it to happen if you think it's important. So I'll leave it right there.
Mr. Morris, we have had clearing of properties. People have complained about it. People are complaining about it. What's your stance on it? Do you think that the laws are being enforced? And if the laws are being enforced, does the government back this situation in a rightful way, right, to give these people the right money, the budget to carry out these laws and to actually enforce them?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Russell. Look, I mean, this is a beautiful opportunity for our legislature to do some work. Rewrite the zoning laws. Regulatory laws are very important for a functioning society. We have a congested city, capital city in Monrovia. That city was not playing for 3 million people. It was playing for at most maybe 200,000 people. We can either look to expand the city and build outwards, or take ourselves from Monrovia, build a new, a capital city, maybe in Greenville, build a new port, so a less congested area, play in a city. Nigeria did it. They did it with Abuja. You think Lagos is not a beautiful city, or Lagos was not a popular city, but they knew that it just couldn't sustain the country. It was too crowded, it was too congested, and they took the capital out of there and went to a new free area and built Abuja. Can we do it? Of course we can. Monrovia cannot be our capital city. I hate to say, based on our history, yes, it's important, but we should build a new capital city where our buildings will be strategically planned, our city, will be regulated. And Abuja, you go to places like Matama, places like Usape in Abuja. They are highly developed areas with a lot of regulations, and it takes a lot to even be able to build in those areas. So Liberia needs to take heed and look to maybe build a new capital city, even if it's just an administrative capital, where you have your capital building, your House of Legislature, and so on. But we need more space, and we have a lot of space in our country. We have a lot of arable land, but we're just packed like sardines in Montserrat County. And it's not going to get better because the city is already built. You can enforce the law, but it's still already congested as it is. Remember the days of Joe Till when you used to be whipping people on the side of the roads, right? And the next day you come out that they're still there. They'll start running when they see him coming, but they'll still go back there. Liberian people are high-headed. They high-headed. You whip them for something to do, 2, 3 days later, they'll be right back in that same spot. You build a new market, they'll go back to the same market because where the people can come by, they won't go inside the market house. That's who we are. We have to use legislation to change the laws. And now when you're doing it, you're doing something illegal, and you're going to feel the punitive measure of your illegal actions. So this is an opportunity for our legislators to look at these things and say, you know what, this is not working. It worked before, but in this day and age, it's just not applicable. It's not practical. Let's make different laws that's going to be more applicable in our current conditions, thereby doing something for the money, all the money you guys are making. Do something. It may seem mundane, but make these regulatory laws that's going to help better the lives and better the health of the people, because sanitation depends on on congestion. If you're too close together, when you have Ebola, it spread like wildfire, a fire. So for me, that's why sometimes we give up on our country, because it's like we have people there who should know better, but they just don't seem to care. Why should I in America, with all the nonprofit we have in this country, care more for Liberia than the people who are living there, the citizens who are on the ground, who are feeling the pain, who are seeing mismanagement of the government and the resources? Why should I cry more than the bereaved? So that's just my take on that point. I'll give it back to you, Mr. Ross.
Mr. Brownell, thank you. I appreciate your point, Mr. Morris. Mr. Brownell, zoning. We see presidents done these clearing of buildings. I don't think it's anything shocking to the public. So, like, is it something new that we haven't done before that we're about to see? And should the laws, like the zoning laws, should it be changed as well to accommodate the current living situation in Monrovia?
From what I understand, we already have zoning laws on the books, and I know y'all gave a little glimpse into the history on why people may be living on top of each other here in Monrovia. And my brother Elvis went forward and spoke about how Abuja, Nigeria, was able to just move its capital. The whole thing, like, I agree with all these guys, but I want to focus on a few points, right? Like, these bigger countries are able to make moves like that because they have higher tax revenue. And I know I keep saying the same thing when I come on air over here. We have a whole bunch of concessions operating in our country where during the time of the MDA, when we were supposed to be like mediating for the proper development, we didn't do it. We missed the ball. So even if we were able to focus on each county and whatever concession is operated in that county and go revisit that MDA, renegotiate it, audit it, try to get a bit of development out of it, at least now when you're displacing people, you're able to have somewhere else in the country that's on the up and up to incentivize them to go over there and maybe look for work or start over, right? I see a lot of people on the internet showing sentiment towards the people who lost their properties, but the sad reality is these people knew that they were building in alleyways. These people were just stubborn, right? Maybe not all of them, but a lot of people knew that the areas that they were building in, they weren't supposed to be there. So what I think we need to do for a solution going forward, maybe if we had some type of zoning enforcement task force where they're sharing information throughout different agencies, but once again, that'll take some type of technology advancement where people are able to data share, and most importantly, we will have to have individuals who are innovative and have the actual expertise in this matter to say, okay, like we're able to go revisit the archives and pull these deeds out and know that an alleyway is supposed to be here, and this is where we used to have the sewage. It's a lot of work and it's costly. So I think I'm going for my own pitch now. We need to go ahead, revisit some of these MDAs and figure out how to get the most taxes out of these large entities that are operating over here. Because I looked at LRA tax revenue last year. I think it was somewhere around 700 million. That's nothing. And most of that revenue came from customs and duties. And guess what? These large entities in their MDAs, they already negotiated that they don't have to pay a lot of customs and duties when they're bringing in equipment and bringing in the supplies that they need for their entity. So it still lands on the back of the citizens. That's why you see that low number. So we had people paying their fair share in taxes. Maybe we'll have a surplus now to go do stuff like relocate our capital or even provide temporary housing for individuals, which I don't even want to really get into the temporary housing because, like I said, a lot of people know that the areas they're living in, they're not supposed to be there. Right?
You trusting the same people that are stealing small money right now with more money?
No. It's not so much that I'm trusting them, right? But
you gotta ask us to stuff to go down.
What? I'm not trusting them, but if we're able to accomplish old MDAs being audited, right? Then the next thing we need to work on is how the new money is allocated towards the country, the nation being developed as a whole. So no, I'm not trusting the same people. Like I said, I wish we had better expertise and people who are willing to learn and be a bit more innovative on how we can come up with solutions for our country. But it's sad. It's very, very sad. But as you guys stated, we don't necessarily learn. It's like you can move people from there today. Tomorrow they'll be right there. People will even be willing. People will tell you. People will say, "Yeah, like I'm renting this house, and I know they're saying they're supposed to be demolishing the house, but I still rented the house." And those could be the same individuals you see on YouTube crying. But if you know them personally, when they went to go gather up that rent money and they were contacting people abroad to help and send them money, they knew exactly what they were doing when they went to go pay the rent, when they went to go put a roof, when they went to go sit down a zinc ground. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they knew about the history of the land in question, and they did not care. And I'm here in Liberia. I hear it every day. I know for a fact people don't necessarily care about where they put that structure because for them is more so just about having shelter and being able to say I have a house. That's it. So they don't care about all the other things that come along with it.
You know, I have a saying. I'll say this. I think anybody that can fix the issue with West Point, I will regard you as the greatest human being alive. If you can fix the issue that's happening in West Point, because that's not an easy issue. And I went to West Point for I had a walkthrough, and I'm 6 foot tall. I mean 6 foot 2 inches, and as I'm walking through some of these places, I'm telling you, I almost cut my head. So we're not even looking at, we're just looking at Monrovia. We're looking at the streets, right? When you take it to actual places that congested like West Point, think about how that situation is going to go, trying to displace people in that region. But Mr. Nabwe, we know that, we've seen these things before, these clearing, breaking down buildings, people crying on the streets, people properties being lost. Some of the people, they're saying that they don't get short notices. Are we expecting anything new from this government? Should we expect anything of innovative from this government?
No. Look, what they say about Christmas, right? You can tell from the Eve, right? These people, their Eve has been over 12 months. They have shown no inclination to innovate. Look, What we need bold and innovative ideas, right? Liberia is a small economy. We're talking about, the people building in the alleyway and all of that. That's because the city is overcrowded, right? In the 80s, during the Samuel Doe time, they flirted, with relocating to Banga, relocating the whole capital. But that's going to cost billions. What is our budget? 3.5 billion GDP or whatever. Look, Barbados right here, they just came in town. They're not too long. They're not even 300,000. Their GDP is their budget. Their GDP is bigger than ours. We need to find a way to innovate. And part of the problem is just sheer stupidity. I mean, you guys sitting here, most of you are in the diaspora. There's a lot of Liberians in the diaspora here who are really, really wealthy, and they're willing and prepared to go and help out. But the stupidity of most of our people back home, they see us here. I mean, we were living with them, 10, 15 years ago. We're all from there. But you come back, you go back home, they see you like you're from the netherworld, We need to innovate. We need to grow the economy. Our economy is too small for the problem we have. That is a problem. Then there is the management of the resources that we have. The resources that are being managed judiciously. Jimmy was talking here. You're spending 88% of your budget on salary and recurring expenditure. Generator, scratch cars. Is that what is really going to take us where we need to go? No. And I don't see any inclination on the part of this government to do anything different or to make a change. I'm not seeing it. If anything, they're doing worse than what they came to replace. They came to rescue us, but no. I like to be generous. I mean, I have a lot of friends in this government, I'll be honest. But I'm very disappointed. They came in here on a lot of promise, and they have fallen flat. They have not demonstrated any either they're incapable or unwilling, or both, to do anything differently. Nothing. Do I expect anything to happen in the next 6 years? Absolutely not. I have given them enough time. I've said here on this network, let's give them the space. They just got in. We need to let them land. They need time to acclimate and adjust. It's taking them over 12 months to do that. And now at this time, I have reached the conclusion they're either incapable or unwilling or both. But I don't see anything happening. I don't. And it's going to get worse because climate change is around the corner. There are too many people in Monrovia. People are building on the drainages and all of that because there is no space for people to live. People see a little space, they build houses just like this to each other because they're running out of space. So yeah, we need to do something bold. We need to innovate. Other than that, I don't see anything happening. I don't see this government leading the charge.
Thank you, Mr. Nangwe. Dr. Pearson, we've seen this issue or this, this is what every Liberian president has done, after the war. They'll come, they'll break down buildings, they'll forget about the dirt that in the street, right? They've given up on the garbage in the street. They've given up on everything else surrounding the city, but they'll break down buildings to make it look like they're about to, extend roads or
where wide your light pole? Don't forget that part, and the plum trees.
Beautiful in the city.
Yes, they come with an intent that they're about to do something new. What can change? What can we change as not just I'll say the government of Liberia, but the people of Liberia? What should we be holding these people accountable to?
It goes back. Thank you, Anthony. It goes back to what some of my friends would do to me when I'm having conversation around these things with them. They say I like to show off like I know too much, but again, these things are science. Mayor can break all the houses you want to break down in Monrovia.
Maybe because you do know too much. I mean, I'm just wondering.
You do know too much.
The Weird can go there and break all the homes they want to break down, but this thing is science. Now, Broca is there. He did it the first 12 years. He was there with Ellen. It didn't work. He saw President Weah go and do it another 6 years. It didn't work. Now he gone there again. He said, I'm acting like nothing happening, and they're doing it again. Listen, it's a science. You get Mayor Bro the job to go and be punitive. So all you know is to go and exert brutality on the population, and they feel that they're working. Now you go to we are then too, they come with the reaction approach to the kind of brutalize the people to the same way, break the homes. But these places turn to dump site. You should add that there. When I was there all through all that the government is talking about, when they do this thing, it turns to dump site. It turns to Zogo areas, right? It's science, my brother. It is science. And then I want my friends can get versed with me. It's called urban development. They call it social development for urban development and the processes. It's a science. And the three cardinal pillars for urban development when it comes to social development projects is number one, you should have inclusivity. You should be concerned not only about inclusivity, you must be concerned about the well-being of the people should change. And not only that, they should understand it will change their well-being, you need networking. These are things that there is science. I don't know whether Matt Jabata know the other science or they just getting a job because he ran campaign. You know, but if you want to understand why the categories of people are there, you gotta speak to them. My brother, why are you in this place? First of all, that the war brought me here. Our farmer in Lofa, our farmer in Nima, our farmer in other places, but the war brought me here. And when the war brought me, I don't know nobody. I ain't got no place to build. And that's why I settle here. Somebody else is wondering why you settle anywhere else beside here, because that only your business can run. Business can run anywhere else beside right here. Everything in Monroe is happening right here. And there are so many reasons. You ask other people, they are just pure land thieves. They may buy one lot of land and he build a fence, he included alley in the fence.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to understand all of these dynamics. So yes, if I went and I did my assessment with that inclusive and networking, everything included, and with the intention in bettering the people's life, I will tell you, my brother, they place the other, including your fence, your neighbor behind you, when there's fire service can get there. If fire service can get there, the main house will burn. It's possible also your house may get burned because of his house being on fire. Will you want your house to get burned with your investment because you want to black out it to make a yard bigger? No, chief. Okay, you know what I mean? We come and cut your fence so we can get to your neighbor behind you to clear the other way. That's understanding. That reasoning. It's not muscle. It's not campaign. It's reasoning with the people because you want them to see the benefit to them. And you want them to see the logic behind the action. Now, that go to the other people in Moreover because of the war brought in there. They didn't know nobody, so they were comfortable right now, and that's where all the businesses are happening. My brother, I told my friends this now in Liberia a few days. I said, listen, why would people want to go break down people's market store or break down the home? We now had a conversation with them. All the money you're here, Ryan, big cars you're building, big houses for yourself. What will happen if you have a conversation and let the people tell you, we got lanes in Liberia, along the Ralphie Highway, along Kirisburg Highway, along Magibi, along all the different areas. You want to go Big County, you want to go other places. What if you have conversation with people? Can we relocate you? The people ain't need much. And there will be some who will agree to be relocated. And you facilitate the relocation. It's not that you got money to waste, but it's all part of improving the lives of the ordinary people. So, because if the man is in poverty, you break the man, single zin run down, where you expect that man to go? Where you expect that woman to go? Where you expect her 2 children to go? Where you expect her teenage daughter to go to? What happened to the school? When they not have a home to sleep in, what happened to the school next day? They're not going to go to school. You know, my brother, this thing is science. Until our people can realize that they got to sit around the table and not use muscle to get political, political score and being campaign more while they don't want to lead our country, we're going to be in a visual cycle. And that's sad, but Mark Jabate will understand what I'm talking about. He's the urban development minister.
No. Don't let my Jabate say missionary for you, Dr. Pearson. He meant to say he was sending mercenaries for Yaga Colorway. He was sending missionaries to kill him. Don't let him send missionaries for you. But look, let me say this quickly before you move on, right?
Go ahead and close on this situation.
It's sad, but it's true. We are incapable of running our own government. Building a civilization is not cheap. It's not even easy. It's incredibly difficult. The growing pains that you go through to build a civilization, to build a nation, It's excruciating. So when we say things like it's going to be expensive, of course it's going to be expensive. You have two options. You can borrow from the United States, for example. You can build projects. I hate to say it because project has such a negative connotation in this country. But the people in West Point can be moved to two big projects that you can build, apartment complexes. And you tell them, I don't care if your great grandmama living in West Point, you're moving from here. It's unsafe for you. We're doing it for your own benefit. We have homes that you're going to be there for 10 years. And after that, we're going to take, you're going to find a way and maybe get your own place, but we'll give you that place for 10 years, like a
But
lease.
I'm talking, but you can build it right there.
No, that place is not, it's not a conducive place for living.
It's not continuing
It's like
because of how
it's a swampy,
it's the way
area. It's been polluted over the decades. Move the people out to more fresh land. Let it be around trees. Let it be around nature. Get them out of that slum, environment. Our government needs to take more project in terms of community building, planned communities. When the last time we had a planned community since the days of those and Togo who were building, estates. But just forget about estate, which is just like a compound kind of area. Build an actual estate, a community where you have parks, you have hospitals, you have restaurants, all planned out before you implement it. Who do we have in our country that's doing such a thing? That can go on a CAD, a computer assisted, drawing, and plan out a city and plan something with their mind, with their brain, and bring it to the government and say we can do this. It's going to take us 10 years, $150 million, but we can build homes here, we can build schools, we can build parks here, and we can relocate, growing families or young families. We can relocate our old folks to this community that's exclusively for them. We're not planning. We're not planning for the future. We're not planning for our future. So where all these, what are they working for the money that they're making? The lawmakers, the director generals, the head of agencies. Why are they earning all these big salaries if they're not using their mind? Because anybody who has education, one of the things they want to do is to prove their education to you. It's almost like it's a burning desire to show, to bring from your mind what you know and put it out there so people can see what how your mind works. So we don't have anybody who's planning, who's doing anything innovative, and most of these things are not even reinventing the wheel. Build housing project for the people. Let it move there. Hopefully it doesn't turn like the way we have it in the worst way, become crime ridden and violent, infested. But at least relocate people, restructure the city of Monrovia. We must be in Monrovia. A lot of places in that place should not be places that people are living. Move people from Sonny and move them from West Point. Rebuild those areas. Redevelop the street, make it wider. Break down some of those old buildings that's been dilapidated. Maybe you can compensate the owners. But you as the government, you are the bully. You make the laws. You telling me, you know what? For the look of our country and our capital city, we're going to break some of these structures down. We'll compensate you, but there's nothing you can do about it. The court system is not going to help you. We're making this because it's a national security issue. We're gonna do this as a government. You got government is amoral. It's not there to be good or bad. You do certain things. It's not about doing the quote unquote right thing or making people feel good. Take tough decisions to better the country overall. So my brothers, I'm just telling you, as a black race, it seems like we're incapable of ruling ourselves. We actually have to give the Congo people a lot of credit because when they were there, they seemed to know what they were doing in terms of organizing and structuring that city, even though it was a way less population. But another last thing, in congested area, you don't do horizontal expansion. You do vertical expansion. You build up when the place is, when it's congested. We're not building skyscraper apartment. Everybody want to have the land, the yard, and the fence. When the place is so congested, they're not building, uprise. Maybe 100 people can live in one nice, long apartment building. Everybody wants to build a single family home. And that's the wrong idea. But I pass it back to you, Mr. Russell.
Just a quick disclaimer. Maurice did not speak for the Congo people.
Okay, sorry. The Congo people they don't want it, but
Mr. Brownell, I'll give the mic to you. What's your closing on this? Do you think that the government should provide more incentives for people to build outside, right? To encourage more people to build outside of Monrovia? Because if we keep seeing more people coming to Monrovia, that's where most of the Liberians from the diaspora come. They spend most of their days in Monrovia. They don't move around to other cities because roads are not accessible. So what are the incent? What are some of the incentives that the government can give out to people who are coming with the funds to build, so that they can alleviate some of these zoning laws, regulations, and restrictions from their selves?
Can I fantasize my answer?
Go ahead, fantasize the theory. Yes.
All right. So once again, right? Imagine if the government audited these concessions, were able to get the proper taxes out of these concessions that are already doing work, right? And they did it in a manner which allowed them now to incentivize Black Americans, Liberians living in the diaspora, but just for us to return to I don't even want to say history, because then somebody might find offense, and because they value in they place value in the victimization stories that are in the history, right? But just imagine if we were this republic for Blacks where we incentivized them to come, and we told them, hey, we're giving all our citizens tax breaks because we have all these large concessions here, and we're able to tax them to the point where the government makes enough revenue now where we can take care of your basic necessities and needs, and we're able to have functioning agencies here. So now we're able to tell a Russ in Philadelphia, hey man, if you're married or if you and your girlfriend want to come back, we giving you an acre of land for y'all to go settle in River Cess. Yeah, I think a lot of young people would jump at that opportunity just for land ownership, because we can't own it. You shaking your head, Elvis, what's up?
My man, you think young people want to live in Riverside, my man? What a witchcraft will be here every day. Yeah, big, come on, man. That's realistic.
Let me tell you.
Sorry, Mr. Eastman. Sorry, Mr. Eastman.
My personal experience, right? I got a farm, right? And I have 150 acres of land. And I document everything that I do on the farm out here in Liberia, right? And when people come and visit, they're like, "Dad, yo, how can I get property next to you? How can I get a farm as well?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like, man, that's something we need to we need to ponder on and see how we can work it out, because so long you got like-minded individuals in the same place. We're having a great conversation here, but if all of us lived in the same community and we know the importance of laying out our community, the government doesn't even necessarily have to assist us in that. But now I know Elvis has a farm next to mine. Elvis isn't growing the same thing that I'm growing. We know we all have children. We need to build a school here. We're able to fund the school, or since the government has this extra revenue now, we can go back to the government and say, hey, it's 100 of us living over here in River Cess, or we're living in number 2 in Grand Bassa, and we want to put a school here. This is the plan that we have. We do have 6 teachers already on hand from the States as well, or from the Caribbean, or from the UK, anywhere. I just think the easiest way for us to start acting like we're fixing something is to just start with an audit and a renegotiation of many of these concessions, because I can sit here and tell you, oh, government is supposed to do this and they should be thinking about how to do this. There's no money there, man. We all know there's no money there. Whether there's no money because they're stealing, or whether it's because there's no money because the concessions are stealing, is a sad reality. Everything is underfunded here. Even if they had the money to fund an organization, because they're not bringing on the proper people with expertise, they end up overhiring people for jobs that may take. You might have an office that could possibly only need 10 people, but now they're stuffing it with 100-something people because nobody knows what they're doing, and they just see this budget and they're allocating it improperly towards salary, right? So I gotta be realistic. I think for us to start, I even put the petition here in the chat with us. We just need to figure out a means on how to get some outsiders, some watchdogs, whistleblowers to come and look at these MDAs. And I don't want to stay too long on it.
They already did, brother. They said 66 or 64 bogus. They didn't meet the standard.
No. You talking about the National Bureau of Concessions saying that they didn't have the funds to actually look at all the concessions. I think they only looked at like 2 or 3 and left 60-something out of the picture, because 1 million was allocated for that agency, 900 and something thousand went towards salary. The same thing on what I'm saying. But if you take a chance, bro, all of these concessions are public. LEI, TI, or TI, this agency that's here in Liberia, all the concessions are public. When you go there, the first thing you're going to notice is that these people are exempt from duties. These people are exempt from changes in our tax law. They pay virtually no royalties. They know how to they're multinational companies. They know how to find loopholes for taxes. So for Liberia, it's a no-brainer. You know, they're getting over on us like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So if we go and we start reviewing these entities and get the right people involved, not the people we have there right now, but if they're willing to say, yeah, we need help with this, can we bring in some outsiders now that are going to sit down and help us review this stuff? I feel like we'll have extra money to say, yeah, when government is breaking down someone's house, they're able to relocate them or give them some type of compensation for being there. But realistically, this is the only thing I didn't agree with Mr. Pearson on, right? There's no talking to these people because they were already building in that area, knowing that they weren't supposed to be building in that area. So what's to talk about? Even if you go there and talk, the first thing they get upset, a crowd is going to come out, oh, you're trying to remove us from here? It might get violent. You might end up clashing with them. So how can you even have conversations with people that don't have a full understanding? Not even don't have a full, they don't want to understand. They just feel like it's their right to be in the way. That's how the whole Liberia is looking. People just feel like, no, that's my right. I can do what I want. There's no system here. I can do what I want. So I don't know. That's my answer for it right there. I feel like we need to encourage people to come back home. We can live next to one another. I know you're saying people don't want to live on farms, but you can make it what you want. It's gentrification. Build your area how you want your area to be. My area is comfortable. Maybe one of these days when we all on the platform, I will be streaming from my farm with my Starlink, and y'all gonna say, dang, that guy's house looks nice. He's comfortable over there in the bush.
Yeah, but your means is not the other people's means, my man. I mean, I'm sure you have the means. A lot of Liberian young folks don't have the means, you know.
I just said we would incentivize. Look, if we had immigration policy, right, that basically, I don't want to say hand selects, but you're incentivizing the right people. So this is not a general statement for the person struggling in the U.S. already to come home and try to figure out their way. These are for people that are doing all right. And even for older people who are on the brink of retirement and want to move back home, incentivize these people. If you know they have expertise, if you know they have knowledge, these are the people that you're supposed to be directing these incentives to, saying, hey, come back home. We have a place for you. We want you to help develop this area. Like, we're not able to be all these places at once, but we figure if you guys go settle out in Sino, yeah, we have tax revenue now to make the port okay. So even if you're doing anything there, at least you're able to export if you start getting into agriculture or if you're doing mining or whatever it is. I'm just saying, incentivize the right quality of people. We shouldn't be sitting here talking in circles like, yeah, these people aren't qualified. Oh, a new election is coming up. Then some of our friends who working at the nursing home talking about, oh, if my man gets there, you know, I'm going back home. We don't want those people anymore. We don't need them. They're not helping the situation here on ground. We want qualified people. And most importantly, we want young. I don't know what just happened.
Oh, we're back.
We're out of town. Wait a minute, we're out of town.
We're
Sorry.
back on the our alarm, but I'll love a quick 30-second closing from each of my panelists. If you guys can keep it very sweet and short so we can close out. Mr. Nambwe, yeah.
Hey, great show, and thank you guys very much. It's nice being with you. Some of you for the first time, but it is great being with you. Thank you very much. Thanks to our audience, been pretty interactive tonight. Thank you for staying with us, and I hope you've been sharing the show and inviting, a friend to come and watch with you. So the situation with the Labor Ministry, I hope I will be paying attention. Hope Senator Dillon, is going to follow through. I think he should really, drill deep down into that matter. Hopefully, it will help bring some clarity to it. 8,000 permits, in 5 months, so hopefully, it will help the situation. Again, thank you very much. I think I'll leave the rest of you guys. It's been great being here with you again.
Dr. Pearson, keep it very sweet and short for our audience and pass a message to them, please.
Yeah, I think the issue with the work permit is not new. I think this is the second time that Kopokra went in our house, in our Senate to have that conversation. So I don't see much changing unless President Boyka shows some leadership on it, because people have to know that if they are not performing, they'll have to be kicked out. If not, they will keep doing what they're doing. And Georgie, I don't think our people are problematic. I think they've been abused too much and too many times by our politicians, and have not been given, like I said, a human-centered approach to development in our country. We're more punitive than solution finding, and so I think we can be more accommodating and, like Evie said, have innovative way of addressing their needs than pushing them back deeper into poverty. Thank you for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
All right. Thank you again, Mr. Russell. You did a good job hosting. Look, I think our president has a fiduciary responsibility to protect the lives and property of the Liberian people. The issue of the Burkinabes borders on security, and as the president of the republic, you must take action to secure the lives of his citizens. And I think this is an issue that needs to be addressed. And then quickly with the permits. Look, it smells of corruption. It's most likely some form of corruption in it. But it all boils down to the leadership of the president. Is he willing to investigate? Is he willing to reprimand Kupakra if he's found guilty of, improprieties? Is he willing to do that? I don't think so. We don't see the president, prosecuting his own folks. But I think it just goes down to good governance. If our government can start governing better for the Liberian people to benefit, all of us in the diaspora will be happy. But until then, we'll just sit on this platform and talk. And Mr. Nambo here knows he's trying to interact with these people. He's trying to plead with them through EULA, and they're non-receptive. So what can we do? What can the little guys like myself and others do? But just yap, 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 yap with nothing changing. So thank you for having me. It was a great show.
Thank you, Mr. Eastman. Your closing, please. I think you're muted.
Great show, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure being here with you all. We touched many topics, and it all boils down to getting the right leadership and taking the right steps toward rehabilitation. With this, I think we have some deep rooted issues. I don't think Liberia has been reconciled, and sometimes you can't cover up certain things. If you want to move ahead, you have to bring these things up. There has to be a national discussion. Bring everything up, make everybody's grievances heard, and then we purposely put our hands together and move forward for the nation. People are taking advantage of our disunity. They're taking advantage of the rhetoric that these people are corrupt, so they can be corrupt. We need to put a stop to this one final day, and I think it will start with reconciliation. Let's talk about the things that were done, because a lot of times these things come up 175 years, nothing was done. Let's talk about it and admit where we went wrong, and let's make a decision to go the right way. I think that's what we need. But everything right now is superficial because it's not fundamental. We have to make fundamental changes. And I'll leave it right there.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being panelists on the show tonight. I really do appreciate you, and I appreciate you guys for giving me the opportunity as well to be a host. And I hope that I have future opportunities to host with you guys. And it's been a blessing being your host. My message to the Liberian people. Huh?
I didn't
All right, go ahead. Yeah, 30 seconds. I'll tell you already close, but go ahead, my brother. Yeah, 30 seconds to close.
Listen, man, just to piggyback off what Mr. Eastman said, we need to figure out a way to change. Change isn't easy. Some of us will suffer. Some of us might say things that have beliefs that others don't agree on, but I think as a nation, we can all agree that we want to change for the better. So if suffering comes with that, we need to just buckle our belts, deal with it, and move forward in hopes of seeing the light one day. So I hope we can all have that mindset and understand that we all are dealing with the same problems, and we need to be solution-oriented, work on these problems, and not focus too much on things that happened in the past, because it's going to be difficult for everyone to understand the past. Let's just focus on what we can do right now to be beacons of change for our country. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Brownell. You have gotten your 30 seconds of. But no, I really do want to appreciate our audience. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and especially for the people in the comment sections. We don't just want to make this show as something that you can be spectators to. We want to hear your opinions. We want you to communicate, right, and share this with your family members, because it is only by doing this that we're able to spark those change, bring those like-minded individuals together, and be able to share the same vision of going back home to a Liberia that we can all sit down and say we are proud of. Even if we don't get to see or live to see the benefits, let our kids be the beneficiaries of whatever it is that we're doing out here. And talking is a part of the solution as well too. Let's look at talking to be a part of the solution. The more we discuss things, the better we will have like-minded individuals to come around and surround us, and be able to push forth our ideas, whether in the diaspora and also back home as well. So I want to give this moment to thank everyone for being here, and once again the viewers and the commentators as well too. Thank you guys.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people.